Here with local legend Nick Johnson, more commonly known as Gator. Gator, what do we got going on today? What are we doing today?
We're gonna do a little trout fishing.
Gator was nice enough to bring me out to one of his favorite spots here and teach me a little bit about fly fishing. Gator, why'd you move to the Northwoods?
Oh, well, you know, I thought that I could maybe bust ass, make a bunch of money, and try as hard as I could to spend all my free weekends up in a place like Minocqua, or I could just cut out that step and move straight here. So the fly of the day is going to be a stimulator, which is kind of mimics, well, any sort of terrestrial insect like a grasshopper, cricket, big caddisfly, something like that. And it just, it's called a stimulator because oftentimes when nothing else is working, for whatever reason, these really get the trout moving.
What are you putting on there now, Gator?
That is called floatant, and what it does is keeps water from being absorbed into the fibers, the hairs and feather and stuff, and it'll allow our fly to float higher on the surface for longer without sinking, which is what we want it to do. One of the differences between fly fishing and spin fishing is that instead of using, kind of your wrist to launch your lure like you would with a spinning rod, with a fly rod, your line is what is launching your fly or your lure. And having a relatively stiff wrist is one of the keys to having a good cast. You want your cast to, launch out ahead of you and then unfold, have that trailing fly just kind of unfold forward and smack down onto the water. Not too hard or else you spook the fish. The motion you want to kind of do is have your rod at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And if you go too far backwards, you're gonna just have a nasty floppy cast. And if you're not going far enough, you're not gonna get the line speed you need to get your fly out. And then with your left hand, you're controlling your fly line. You just kind of want to hold it off to the side and then maybe give it just a tiny tug when you come forward with your forward cast. And that's going to give you just a little bit more oomph out of your rod to get your fly out as far as you need to get it. Get that arm away from your body.
I have no idea. Gator, I noticed you're fishing upstream. Is that always?
So you've got an advantage in fishing upstream, and that is that the fish are faced the opposite way. They're focused elsewhere, whereas if I'm fishing downstream, all the fish are faced upstream staring right at me, and obviously that's a problem with a really spooky fish like a trout. This boulder here is a great trout habitat, so they're going to hide behind it where the current's kind of broken up, so there's going to be a little less current, and then the river's bringing their food to them basically. So they'll just sit here and watch upstream as little insects are being carried in the current, and then when they see one, they'll zip out, grab it, and go back to cover where they're not expending a ton of energy to stay in one spot in the river. It's a little bit slower. So this log up here is a great spot for trout to hold. It's kind of cut underneath it from the current, and so they're able to hide underneath it, have cover from potential predators, but also have 360-degree vision around where they're sitting, so they can see any sort of food that's drifting by, whereas hiding behind a boulder or something, or a sideways log, they're kind of restricted. They can only see what is on either side and behind them.